it's interviewing her that is so powerful. So I have the book also, but it's just not the same as the interview. It's different. Hey, good morning. Welcome to our Wednesday morning class, coming to you from HeartLight Spiritual Center here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We want to welcome especially you that are here in person. Thank you for showing up today. And we have a guest from Chicago who flew in to be with us today. Would you mind introducing yourself to our people?
I'm Kevin from Chicago.
Kevin from Chicago. And what a pedigree he has here. I won't go through it all, but it's very impressive, all that he has been involved in, but somehow ran into my Some Energetics teachings and other teachings. And we connected, and he just decided to fly and be with us today, to spend the day with me and to get a tuning. And we're glad to have you, Kevin. Please feel at home. All right, we are on week 5 of living from the intelligence of the heart. And week 5 is healing from the heart. I'm going to start this out with a quote from the book of Job 38 and 36. Who hath put wisdom in the inward parts? Who hath given understanding to the heart? Again, who hath put wisdom in the inward parts? Who hath given understanding to the heart? 2 words I want to point out. Wisdom, understanding. This is a different thing completely than knowledge, of the brain. Unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of us, and I say us, because I've spent so many years gathering knowledge, as you all know. That's been my life story. I've dedicated my full time to research, reading, searching, seeking, reading many books, listening to lectures, which I have gleaned from, but I will not call them my source of the knowledge that I have validated. In other words, I didn't validate something because I read it in the book and I liked it. And I thought, I want to believe that. I really like that. Then I've stored it in my entelechy, my intellect. Mm-hmm. Now, the things that are important to me that I've read in a book, heard in a lecture, or however, from the outside of myself, I have learned that the most important part of the process is between the power of believing something and qualifying it, which is because you've heard this for what, 10 years? Contemplation. Say the word. Maybe if you say it. So I read something out of a book and I go, whoa, that got my attention. That I like. I like that. I think that's kind of cool. I don't immediately say, okay, now I'm going to believe it because I like it. I go into neutral, a state of contemplation, of not judging it right or wrong, good or bad, but hold it. Now, why? Because if what I've read in the book or heard outside of myself in any way is what I want to qualify, it first had to be already in my innate intelligence center. Because there's nothing new to learn. The only thing new to do is to remember what we have forgotten. Are you with me? That is why that we have emphasized so much here, this thing that religion calls the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit could be called something else. It could be called your higher self. It could be called other things in other languages. But it says about this part of you that is still whole. Let's put it that way. Let's take H-O-L-Y, make it W-H-O-L-L-Y, Holy Spirit. It's a part of your spirit that is transcendent and didn't get misinterpreted by the brain, by outside conditioning. Are you with me there? Into your higher self, we can call it, into a higher state. Whole. Where your spirit is still whole, where it says, remember you were created whole, that you're still whole in your spirit. It says once that penetrates into the human mental part of you, it becomes the tool to, one, be taught all the truth you need. That's the first thing that it does. It'll give you all the truth that you need to succeed full purpose of that particular incarnation. In other words, you come in with everything you need. Remember my message 2 or 3 weeks ago was you're fully ready and cocked and ready and loaded to go. That's important you realize. That there's nothing new to learn outside yourself. Everything that you need is already innately a part of your birthright from creator to creation. Just as your genetic DNA was passed on to your children. You had no choice in that. If you're going to create a child, you're going to pass some of yourself on to it. So, I wait. What am I waiting for? An inner resonance of my innate intelligence witnesses that this is truly my truth. Now, when that happens, then I qualified into my belief system. So I don't believe to know, I know to believe. Do you realize how many things I say to you guys here on Sunday sometimes that I don't even understand half of what I say sometimes? I don't have the intellectual knowledge of it, but I know it's so because it is the Spirit of truth that is speaking through me. I'm learning along with you. I'm not your guru. Don't put me on the pedestal that I'm so farther advanced. No, that's not it at all. Maybe I've done more of the work than you have. Maybe my life has afforded me the time to do more learning and meditating and contemplating and all of that than some of you who got busy raising families and marriages and full-time jobs and all of the stuff that 3D people get so distracted with. And that's what 3D is. It's a dimension of distraction. And the extension of the 3D brain, guess what, is your technology. Your phones, your computers. I'm not saying phones and computers of themselves are bad or good, but unfortunately, if it's become your distraction because you used to meditate 20 minutes twice a day, but now you cut it down to 5, if at all. Or you used to study and contemplate, but now you can't help because you're addicted to the television program and the soap opera, or because you're busy running around all over town doing absolutely nothing because you can't sit still. Be still and know. Now, why is that important? I got to get on HeartMath here. What is important about me talking to you about reading something, hearing something, even from me, and not going, oh, well, I really liked what David said. I think I'm going to download it I'm going to use one of my unused neurons and download it in my neurons so I can expand my intellect. And I'm going to sound really informed because I am increasing my intellect. And when you do that, it doesn't change a thing in your life. other than you sound smart. I can hold my conversation with spiritual people. Now, if they get me off into sports and crazy stuff like that, I have nothing to say. I'm just a dummy. Because I've not spent my time learning that. I've not spent my time attaching myself to these 3D things. I'm not saying they're bad or wrong. I'm just saying I'm not attached. So when I hold it, and then I get that inner, what we call witness, or let's say quickening. You ever had a quickening? Has the baby ever leaped in the womb of your consciousness? I know some of you know Bible people, but you got to understand, when John the Baptist was in the womb of Elizabeth and they came to meet Mary who had Jesus in the womb, the babies leaped because we got a destiny together. That's called a witness. We used to say it in the Pentecostal church a lot. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? People go, ah, hallelujah. So that's it. That's the witness. So too much wisdom has not been coupled with knowledge. Knowledge is a more masculine thing. Wisdom is a more feminine thing. And we've been on this for so long about how he has been the head of her. And the message from him is, shut up, be still, go ask him if you have a question. So I dare that in the church, tell women to be still. No, it's about your head and your heart. And it spilled over to be men and women. But that's not the core reason for it. The reason is metaphysical. It's behind the symbolism. Oh my goodness, I could get on to so much of that. I don't know what to do. In week 4, last week, we learned how to energize by subtle life energies when we're the least aware of ourself. Focused our attention on the air of the heart, imagined our breath is flowing in and out of the heart and the chest. Real quickly, what contribution does HeartMath give us today that we didn't have 35, 40 years ago? What is the contribution of HeartMath that we did not have 35, 40 years ago?
Knowing that you have brain in your heart.
That you have brain neurons in your heart. 40% of neurons that's in the head brain is in the heart, making a little brain in the heart. Now that works both ways. Also, we know what's made up of the heart also is found in the brain. So they were made to work together. But again, in this 3D, 4D world, they've been pulled apart. And let me ask you this, how does the ego prove its agenda of separation? How does it prove? Because it has to prove it because it's not true. Separation never happened, but its agenda is separation by making you believe I'm not you and you're not me. How does it prove that agenda? By using the body identity. Because I'm not you. I'm not you physically. You're not me physically. We're all uniquely physical beings, different from each other. So as long as I stay in a physical body identity, the ego has a way of proving its agenda, which is a belief in separation. Not the reality, but a belief in separation. See why belief is so important? How that you don't qualify so many beliefs. Let me ask you this, why? Why? What happens when you qualify a belief? I've probably said this 75 times, I don't know.
becomes truth in people's minds.
Yes, that is true. That's a true statement. Because when you qualify it in your etheric body. Your etheric body is the blueprint for cellular replication. Please get that so we can move on from that. I don't have to keep repeating it. The etheric body, which is the closest to your physical body. In fact, it's so close that it's a part of your physical body that the five senses can't see. But it is a part of your physical body. It's kind of like the heart and the pericardium, heart, which is just kind of a lesser dense sac around the heart. Every organ in your body has an etheric double. Your kidney has an etheric double. Your heart has an etheric. Everything in your body came from an etheric into the material world of sensory. So what you qualify into your belief system reads the blueprint when the cell dies. And cells are constantly destroying themselves and recreating themselves all the time. I know that's a hard one because you're caught in such a slow density of brain movement that you can't see the quantum level, which is total movement of everything from atoms to protons to neutrons to even smaller and smaller and smaller. There's not one thing in this room that is solid that is not in some kind of pulse and frequency and vibration. But the brain says, really? Sure feels solid to me. Then look at it under an electron microscope. Look at your solid hand under an electron microscope and it won't look like this hand. You'll see the particles that make up the hand. That's quantum consciousness, which we've called for thousands of years spiritual consciousness. Now, spiritual consciousness has lost its mystique and become a reality in quantum. It's provable, measurable. And thank goodness for our fathers of 150 years. Max Planck, Einstein, and others. They're just as important as Moses and Abraham and all those in the Bible of thousands of years ago is those who have lived more closer to our time and in our time. Don't discount them. Well, I don't know about talking about Einstein. I believe only people in the Bible. Well, there's people who live among us that are very important. I know I'm reviewing, and I maybe shouldn't be, but I'm doing it. So Deepak Chopra says that you get a liver every 6 weeks. How many livers have you had? And every 7 years, you have totally remade your entire body every 7 years. Now, take your age, divide it by 7, and see how many bodies you've had in this lifetime. But the illusion is, I've got this 60-some-year-old body, I got this 70-year-old body, and because I've lived 70, 80 years, I'm old and got wrinkles and all of that. No, it had nothing to do with how many years you've been here. It had to do with the chipping off of your telomeres. Aging has been redefined, not by the years you live, but within the years you've lived, how much of an enzyme has been chipped off at the tip of the chromosomes that ages you. So we have to look at aging completely different. We have to be so re-educated out of 3D. HeartLight needs a total re-education program. That's what it needs. It needs all these classes that we're trying to put together for you is for the purpose of re-educating you out of a 3D paradigm. Sitting here, tens of millions of cells will have died and replaced themselves right now with every breath. Boy, that's so hard to get that here because I can't see that. I don't see that.
And I don't feel it.
I don't feel it. I don't hear it. I don't smell it. I can't touch it. It must not be. That. What's that guy talking about? He is out there. Yes, I'm out of the box of 3D. I'm not going to talk to you in 3D. I'll talk to you about 3D, but I will not talk to you from 3D. So someone said to me, all right, I have cancer of the liver, but I got a new one in 6 weeks. Why do I still have the cancer? Simple. Because it's still reading the same blueprint that allowed the cancer to happen has not been changed. And it keeps repeating itself while chipping off more telomeres and making the cancer get worse and worse and worse unto death. It's the sin unto death the Bible talks about.
How do we allow that?
By sitting in HeartLight.
Not everybody's coming to HeartLight. I want to answer that. It's more.
Well, I can't be responsible how many come to HeartLight, but I'm responsible to who comes to HeartLight. And I'm putting it out there in videos. I'm putting it out there. I've got a platform getting ready to go worldwide. I'm doing my part. Everybody has to do their part. That's all I can tell you. And when we've done our part to reach the critical mass, the rest will come along. That's what it means when it says that we shall get it, and those who remain shall be caught up in the air to meet him.
I think what he's saying is there an actual process to stop the chipping of the telomere?
Correct.
An example.
All right. I've got to move on here. Whew. Who needs healing? Sick or broken needs mending because they have fallen into a state of despair. We define healing different here at HeartLight than using prayer to fix what's broken. That is not my philosophy of Soul Energetics the last 24 years. I have not taught our practitioners and teachers to come from a place of allowing their client to be broken or to see them broken, but to heal their own mind of the error, of the illusion they are broken, and see them whole as they were created. Healing begins in the practitioner's mind, not with the client. That's very science of mind, by the way, if you've tapped into science of mind. That's what is taught in Holmes. It is also taught in the Course in Miracles. The healing of my mind is the healing of my brother's mind, because all consciousness at some level is in communication with each other and create a field of consciousness in which there is no difference between me and you in consciousness. So you that are healers, which I don't like the label, I'd prefer you say you are facilitating for self-healing to take place. Healing is an ego label. You can't heal a fly. But you can facilitate and awaken the healer within each and every person. But first, heal thyself, O physician. Why? I'm out of control again, I know. I'm repeating a lot of things, but I don't want to go too forward until we get what the message has been for 5 years here, 6 years here. What was I saying? Somebody help me out.
Heal yourself, physician.
Yes, because sound is a carrier of consciousness. Say that with me. Sound is a carrier of consciousness. Now that means the sound even of your voice, how you speak to someone, transfers the state of your consciousness to them. So you can say, oh, you're really nice, and you're really pretty, and you're thinking, I really don't like you at all, I'm suspicious of you, whatever. And your words mean nothing. It's the consciousness that your word, it's the consciousness that are being carried by your word to the people, the person you're dealing with. So you're not fooling anybody by trying to tell people things that you really don't believe and feel and think. That makes sense to you?
Yes.
Now, in my case, it was tuning forks. And I said, you can't, between a tuning, go and call your significant other and have a riff on the phone and be upset with them, and then go on and sound tuning forks, because the sound, I don't care how pretty they are, the sound will carry your consciousness to the client. Make sure you clear yourself and heal your mind. So that's that. Health and sickness is not opposite ends of a continuum. We are all sick and healthy at the same time. That's true. I got parts of my body that's got more pain and more issues. Other parts I don't even think about because they feel good. So you got kind of both things going on here, because we are chaotic, energetic systems in the process of self-correction. How do we heal? Natural versus Western medicine. Brain says don't just sit there, do something. Heart, don't do something, sit there. Stay home. Make you some chicken soup. Read a good, positive, spiritual book. A cold can be the body's expression of the spirit's cry to go home. If you're not feeling well, don't push yourself to go to Walmart for 2 hours and walk around. Go home. Listen to your body and how it is directing you. Heart healing is becoming aware of where and how our lives have been disconnected from the heart. Heart healing requires that we let energetic reconnection happen. By whom are we healed? The brain says smart strangers who prescribe action to be taken. What should be done to us? So when you go to a practitioner, it's not what can you do to me, what can you do for me? And I'm going to go one step further. What can you do with me? I'm very clear in my language with people. I'm here to work with you. I'm not working over you. I'm not working separate from you. I'm working with you. We'll figure this out together. If you go in there and you've got all your training and all your knowledge and you're all in your head and you're all into the intellect of I know better, they don't know anything, I'm the one that knows it all, you are in the ego's world. And I'm going to get you here because nobody should be hurting. Nobody should be in pain. And I'm going to fix it. Let me tell you what. What that person's going through could be a contract that they made to wake them up spiritually and to move them along the path of their evolution. And you want to come in and fix it and abort it because you think nobody should be in any kind of pain. That pain, psychologically or physically, could be a tool that is helping them to move to the next level. They made that contract. Yes, I will go. Yes, I will go through the experience of cancer. Yes, I'll go through the experience of this or that disease or whatever. But because it's going to break me. It's going to break the shell. It's going to break the ego. It's going to let the fruit out of the nut. As I sit before you here after 62 years of this, I'm not here because of the times in that 62 years when I experienced things were really going good. And there were times. There were times when things were going good, money was flowing in, I was in demand, I was traveling all over the world, I didn't have a lot of physical issues, I was younger. Oh my God, those were good times. But those were not growing times for me. There were not times that I grew. but it's through the challenges. It was through the issues I did not expect that my brain was crying out, what's wrong with you? Why is God punishing you? What have you done? But it was driving me to dive deeper. I read deeper books. I did deeper meditation. I changed my timeline. I changed my priorities. All these things were doing because of the pain or the suffering or the situation I was going through. And the time I got out of it, I was much more aware and enlightened than when I went in. So if you got in your head that all pain and all sickness and all things are always bad and that you need to fix everybody, I would revisit that. Don't work on anybody until you've taken the time to tune in to their energy story.
Yes.
I check in to see, is it present life? Is it past life? Is it ancestral? Is it contracts? Before I even start a tuning with somebody. I've already done that for our friend here. I've already done his chart. I know exactly where I think we need to go because his energy arrived here before his body. Energy is always for the physical. That's why you sit in a certain place at the table. When we used to sit in the table, like a family, you had your place. Nobody maybe told you. What about the side of the bed you sleep on? Even here, some of you. When we move the chairs around, some of you go, I'm used to sitting there. And what you're doing, you're looking at, where's my energy now? Where's my energy body? In this class, what has been so important is for us to connect back to the wisdom of the heart. Proverbs 17:22 says, a happy heart is good medicine, and a joyful mind causes healing, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. Whoa. Now, unfortunately, I have a different take than about everybody I've studied or read or done their work, including HeartMath, is people are still not making a distinction between mind and brain. They still, I'll guarantee you 99.9% of everybody, if I had everybody point to their mind, they would do this. They immediately make it the same thing. Mind is way beyond the brain. Mind is in every cell. Mind is all around you. You live in the mind. You either live in the mind of the world or the mind of the divine, or Christ consciousness as we call it. So, I want to read something today. I don't usually read up a book for you, but this is really, a lot of this information has come from the Heart's Code by Paul Pearsall, PhD. But I know some of you still are wrestling maybe with this idea between the brain and the mind, but I'm going to give you and share with you what he says about the brain. So bear with me. Even discussing the possibility that the brain cannot be the sole control of our human essence can cause the arrogant brain to recoil to the possibility that contemplation, reflection, remembering, emotionality could originate any place other than within itself. In other words, the brain believes it's the source of all these emotions and things. In fact, it's put itself up in the Bible as the God of this world that sits on the throne.
Declaring.
Doing what?
Declaring itself.
Declaring itself God, little G-O-D. God, the brain. So that is saying that all contemplation, all reflection, all remembering, always comes from the brain. It's always a thought construct. In other words, it edits out any kind of intuition or inner guidance or inner knowing. That's foolishness. Or get this, nonsense. Did you hear it? Nonsense. The brain has had things pretty much on its own way for the last few centuries. Unfortunately, the brain has created an intense, complex, fast-paced, often soulless world that contributes to a failing heart, weak immune system, and malignant cells. The brain has devised extensions of itself, electromagnetic energy devices such, are you ready? Cellular phones, computers, and other increasing rapid but less personal communication systems perfectly suited for its own enhancement and that speak in a language of its own, not so subtle energy. The heart has been mostly left out of the alliance between the brain and its body, its pumping power admired even at the circulatory function of its own overextended and abuse of an ever-demanding brain. The heart's own delicate way of thinking and feeling about the world and the info energy cellular memories with which it may be uniquely conversant are often ignored by cardiologists, trained to think about the heart, but not about how the heart might think. And now there are such things as info-energetic cardiology. See, that's breakthrough. Pretty soon that'll break down the old cardiologist system. I have to go every year because I've had quadruple bypass back in 17, excuse me, just before I came to you, in fact. And so I go to a cardiologist and take whatever the test is that you take to check, which fortunately I've had really good reports so far. But I'll tell you, it's just dry as it can be. I mean, the whole conversation with him, the whole system is so textbook and so dry and so disconnected from me. My energy of my heart is not included in it in any way, that I leave these people so unfulfilled because there was no energetic connection at all. Progress in the study of the heart's code cannot be made if we yield completely to the brain's evolutionary imperative as displayed in our cerebral part of the brain. And I'll close with this part on reading this. If we allow our brain to think it is us rather than a key part of us, we cannot learn the true nature of what it means to be a human. Survival of the fittest has come to mean survival of the smartest. And the brainy, somebody who's brainy. As a result, the brain has been left free to do its Darwin thing. It has created an increasingly individualistic, separatist approach to living in which many of us end up feeling overpressured and alone in our struggle for self-advancement survival. In our survival to become more and more capable of controlling our world, we must seem to have become much less connected with it. The brain thinks that only its own clever competitiveness. I can go on and on. So the brain is competition, the heart is cooperation. So we have one more after this in which we'll bring all this together next Wednesday. which will be the sixth one brings all of this together. But today we're going to learn the technique of freeze frame. Dolores, did you bring anything for us you want to share today? Because when I get through with this, I'll have a little time if you have. I didn't know if you.
Right, and I wasn't sure because Michael is not here, and last week we set up something so that we could use the laptop and put something on the
Okay,
screen.
well, we'll
So
ask Michael about that.
I'm wondering if, in fact, since next week is the last week, to actually demonstrate how this works, maybe that's better to come at the very end.
That's good.
If that works for you.
That worked for
I
me.
think that
I just need to know when you are ready to.
Okay, well, I did bring it, but as I said, and there was no space in between your last class and this to set this up.
Okay.
But next
Well,
week we'll do
I'm
it.
glad to go through the freeze frame, and that's going to give you about 15 minutes or 10 minutes or so. Would that work? Or do you want to do it next week?
I think let's do it after we learn like all of this.
Okay, go through the whole thing. All right, good. She has some things to kind of prove all this stuff that we're teaching and saying. HeartMath has a lot of toys, really good ones that you can get and measure. In fact, they've got a thing now I'm very interested in, but you can always see where the consciousness of the world is,
Yes.
where people are, what state we're in as a world people. So there's a lot of fantastic things in HeartMath.
David, actually, if there are a couple of people who are interested in practicing with this week, I'll stay afterwards and set up the computer, and we can play with it for a while after this class.
After this class? Okay, so if you want to do that, you can do that. We understand if you can't, so don't feel bad if they've already got plans or something's going on.
No, no problem.
But we just need a way to announce it so we can do it. But that's fine with me. I have no problem with that whatsoever. All right. Today we're going to go into what's called the freeze frame technique. Now, what we have done thus far is heart-focused breathing. Simple. These are such simple techniques, but profound if you use them. That was week 1, heart-focused breathing. Simple. Focus your attention to the heart. You're breathing in the heart. That means that your consciousness is at the heart level. If it helps to just put your finger in your heart to direct your consciousness, you can do that if necessary. You don't have to. You're going to breathe, and the heart is going to come out and in. So the chest comes in and out. You're going to breathe a little slower and a little deeper than usual. So let's do that real quickly. When you're comfortable, focus your attention in the area of your heart. Imagine your breathing passing in and out through your heart or the center of your chest as you slowly inhale and exhale. Again, from the focus of the attention of your heart, imagine your breath passing in and out through the heart or the center of your chest. By doing this, and you can do it anywhere, saves energy, reduces intensity, turns down the volume of depleting emotions, establishes a calm but alert state, maintains your composure, shifts and sustains balance. I've done this many times this week. Anytime I feel anxiety or something coming up, I go right to my heart-focused breathing. The second week, we learn quick coherence. So from this heart-focused breathing, I ask you to again bring your focus to the heart and the breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. But this time as you breathe in, develop an attitude of calm and balance. Calm. Calm is a wonderful, beautiful day. The sky is blue. The wind is on your face and the sun feels warm. The sand is under your feet. The birds are singing. And from here, I want you to breathe in a feeling of gratitude or compassion. What in your life gives you a feeling of gratitude? Being loved, accepted, nurtured, taken care of. Whatever feeling you most find soothing, and breathe. On week 3, we learned inner ease technique. Again, going back to heart-focused breathing. Draw in the feeling of inner ease. Begin to slow down the mental and emotional rhythms that get out of control. Thoughts that run away with you and takes you with them. This creates a stillness in the move, an inner pulse, allowing for increasing ability to make better decisions. How many of you here at a crossroads are making some major life decisions? Week 4, it was heart lock-in. Focus your attention in the area of the heart and imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. Breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. And again, activate and sustain the feeling such as appreciation, care, love, or compassion. Now, even though you've already done that, this time in the heart linking, you're going to radiate that renewed feeling to yourself and others. So see it moving out of your heart as maybe white, golden, pure light, moving in all directions. But first to yourself, then to those in your world that you have any intimate connection with. Your children, your parents, your significant other, your spiritual leader. Using the heart lock-in accumulates and sustains resilience. In other words, you won't stay in the anger as long. You won't be in the depression as long. You won't be in the fear as long. But it disrupts it. The breathing disrupts it and brings you back home to yourself. Also, by using this, It accumulates energy to recharge your emotional system. And now our fifth one for today is the freeze frame. This is our new technique. Breathe. First of all, with your eyes closed, acknowledge the problem or issue and any attitudes and feelings about it. So let's change problem to challenge. If there's a challenge in your life physically, mental, emotionally, or financially, in the family, I want you to think about it literally and feel it. Feel that it gives you anxiety, feel that it gives you concern. Go ahead and feel the emotion that is attached to that situation. It's okay. Makes you feel sad, it makes you feel frustrated, it makes you feel angry, confused. Go ahead, feel that. And now, after you've done that, return to heart-focused breathing. Breathing in and out a little deeper from the heart. Make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling such as appreciation or care for someone. So let's say there's someone, you picked somebody that really is a challenge for you that made you feel hurt or upset. Think of somebody else or another situation that makes you feel gratitude, appreciation. It could even be your pet. There's nothing that makes you experience unconditional love and be loved like your pets. You don't have anybody else. Whatever it is that gives you that sense of the appreciation of being loved. From this more objective place, ask yourself, would this be a more efficient or effective attitude for me than the first one of feeling what I felt with the challenge? If you resonate with the one in which you chose someone to make you feel gratitude and appreciation, I want you to imprint it with your breath and your intent and the power and the will of choice. I choose appreciation over hurt or grief or worry. It is much more to my benefit and the benefit of those in my life and world. And the fifth but last and most important, quietly observe any subtle changes in perception, attitudes or feelings. Commit to sustaining beneficial attitude shifts and now acting on new insights. Because I am the center of my power. Say it with me. I am the center of my power. Breathe. When you are ready to slowly return back to the awareness of this room, feel refreshed, feel renewed. Feel that you have an option, that you're not trapped in worry, fear, grief, or disappointment about any person, place, or thing in your life. But you choose to see it through a new lens of compassion and appreciation. Even though it may be something in your life that is challenging, But you see it now as an opportunity to grow and to learn. So therefore, you can appreciate things that you're not appreciating. Right? Because you had a shift in perception in that moment. All right. So again, I want to encourage you for the Thursday night, tomorrow night. Act like it's a week away. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock for the interview. I would not be doing this if I had not had Spirit really. I mean, I had a whole different message for Sunday. I was just told people are now ready, because when I taught this a few months ago, things had not become as intense as they are now in the world. And I think now you're ready to understand the importance of how we can get out of the desert, how we can get out of the barren. And I say, oh barren, sing, for more of the children than of the unmarried than of the married. And that means unmarried to religion, unmarried to doctrine, unmarried to man-made traditions.
3D.
And more shall be your children. So I want to thank you for today, for coming and being a part of the class, the exercise, and all that we do on Wednesday here. We have 5 more minutes if anybody has any. Yes, thank you. It is time for us to receive your love and energy through money. Not just money, but to support. To support and keep us grounded in 3D so we can talk about 5D. We need a 3D platform to do the 5D work. So please ask your heart, what would you have me to give today to this class? As you know, next Sunday is the last Sunday of the month again. Oh my goodness, it comes way too fast for us. And again, we're about in the same place of needing a miracle, but we've done it. And we will continue to allow and accept that miracle to take place, that we meet our not obligation, but our commitment to HeartLight. Thank you so much. Go ahead.